Greetings, rise and shine, brethren. We are the World Global Reset Restoration Network family, comprised of 198 sovereign nations with over 7 billion sovereign principles, being of one mind, one heart, and one spirit, walking together under the divine principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I come to you as a voice in the wilderness to introduce to you a man. No, not just any man, but a man sent by Yah Allah to redeem mankind. Dr. Hindu I.L. Henderson, the Adak Chief Justice of the Universal World Court, and who's also known as Yehoshua Mashiach, the Son of Man. The information that you will be receiving in this and other videos you won't get from anywhere else on the planet. Hear the many truths and fulfillment of the laws, judgments, and sentencings from our Creator, Father Yah, as well as the fulfillment of the true interpretation of the Holy Scriptures and books. Now, without further ado, Dr. Hindu I.L. Henderson with his beloved host, Shelley Bowling.
And even though now you have found the time to even start a battle over in Morocco, where you have young black dark-skinned men running all over Morocco's streets, doing something that they're trying to make their way to some Spanish border just so they can be able to mix and mingle and fight and destroy those that they call Benjamites. I need you to understand that just as it was back in 1897 and 1887, all the way back 10 years before and after, that the Moroccans already realized that they have no power, never have they had any power to give anybody any type of authority, neither a position, because the Moroccans don't have it themselves, because they realize that this has always belonged to the Israelites and not to the Moroccans known as Moabites. They had no power to do anything. Say with me, I know you're going to try to bring the opposition between me and the rest of the Moor nation based upon the fact that they still have been confused too by you. I know. I'll fix that. Because they too need to understand that they're not of the Moroccan nation. And El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali never told them that. For the matter of fact, that is one of the reasons that he was eliminated in his lower nature or form of life, because he was trying to get them to recognize that. That is not what he meant, and that is not what he said. Many have come along, and they have tried to alter what he said, just as man has tried to alter the Bible. They try to alter the last prophet, if he might be even called that, his words. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen, United Nations, because we know better than that. So even we say to those that are still of the Vatican City, Moroccans we already know who they are. They will be always in their place. Algeria, Tunis. They will stay in those areas. They will not be allowed to move back into the U.S. of A., where they were once ran out of based upon their homosexuality, based upon their ability to live amongst the Moabites and the Amorites in the land that Lot so chose himself to be destroyed in. Stay with me. Getting messages coming all the way from Morocco. And even the Moroccans now are telling people to stop calling them Moabites, to stop calling them Amorites, and I agree with them. Even though that's where they once were put, that's one place that they were ran out of America, the land of Canaan. They were ran out of it to end up over there. But they don't want to be called that because they're letting everybody know that they are not born of a brother and a sister. They're not born of a father and a daughter. They're not born of incest. They're not born illegitimate. They're letting you know that. Yes, this week I am dealing with Morocco based upon that. And they refuse anyone that says that. For the matter of fact, they are joining people like ISIS to make sure that whoever is saying it gets the message. Stay with me. Listen, writing. Remember, Dr. Harrison will tell you true documentation cuts out all false conversation. That means he is not going to have a conversation with you that's not able to be shown to you in writing by other nations, by other people. If you bring up on the world again devastation, you will be destroyed. And even HILH now will be shamed within himself to talk to his people, knowing that most of them right now, he will have to bring them into the temple to cut up their national ID cards. Based upon the fact that he told them on the first page of his book that those people that would buy those names and those titles were ran out of the U.S. of A. And he never said he was of those people. He said, for the matter of fact, they had been given an opportunity to go somewhere else and live freely. He was saying that because every man was able to worship on his own vine and fig tree. Every man had to learn to love rather than to hate. But he didn't say you have to become part of them. He never said that. He didn't write the bylaws number 6 on the bylaws. He didn't write that, United Nations, because he wouldn't have not have even talked to himself in the third person and the fourth person at the same time. He would not have done that. Stay with me, because you know I'm headed with this, United Nations, because you have to realize that even though my brothers around me still haven't recognized the fact that the United Nations does recognize HILH's shadow. Sharif Abdul Ali. They recognize it. And they know what he taught, what he preached, and what he's still preaching now in his higher self is not what is being told by the world, by the universe. It's not. And we already know the truth because we have the original writings. And those of them who sought to silence him during his greatest grand times of the movement took his work. They took his work and they did the greatest thing that they could have done to elevate themselves, and that was they altered it. Just as the majority of the so-called cardinals and bishops and popes in the so-called Vatican did, with the works of the one they call Yehoshua Mashiach, with the works that they call the 12 disciples. They took that work, the Gospels, and they altered it just so it would suit them rather than to give the people the truth. When they realized the people were still reading and being able to encode the messages, they began to take certain books out of the message. Those books now lie in somebody's closet called the hidden books of the Bible. They are now lying somewhere called the Apocryphas, the books that are unknown or untalked about, based upon the fact of them altering things just so it would suit them and not give the universe the truth. Such as, I want to make sure I make a correction to this Rise and Shine Day in respect to the United Nations, and I noticed that my sister, she used the word Asiatic. And we want to realize that Asiatic is a word that was come about through the U.S. of A. It has nothing to do with the nations with an S. And as she called the Asiatics, those that are in the areas such as our brothers in the Orient, she classifying them as Asiatics, and they're not. They're not Asiatics, they're not Asiatics, none of those words. They are Orientals. And they have something that is known as the Oriental Empire, which is possibly the oldest empire that ever stood on the planet, one of the oldest empires, called the Oriental Empire. And nations such as Japan, China, Korea, and all of those nations that we look to as being our brothers and sisters of a world in which many of us have not yet been able to understand based upon the fact of the language barriers. But we must realize that these are classified as part of the Oriental Empire, the Mongolian Empire. It has nothing to do with Asiatics. Asiatics are those people that are still in the U.S. of A. that are classified as melanated black folk. They are the Asiatic people. They have always been the Asiatic people. They will always be the Asiatic people. So we want to make sure that we don't give the title of the Asiatics to those that are known as Orientals, because they are an Oriental Empire, and they regret the statement in which we make in America calling them Asians or calling them Asiatics, because they are Oriental. And many of them, because they have commercialized themselves, they have found themselves even resorting to the fact that they allow themselves to be called Asiatic, just that they might be able to commercialize themselves and sell themselves in the market, whereby they believe that America was a leading consumer of the market. Now coming to reality that America is the last on the list as a consumer to any would-be thing that comes down to being a righteous, they have begun to resent that now. Now we know who you are. Just as you was in the days of old, so are you during these times. Just as you was during the time of Noah, telling everybody that homosexual was all right. Just as you was during the time of Noah, telling everybody don't get on the boat, stay here, let's party some more. Just as you was during the time of Noah, telling them the rain is not going to come, the storms are not going to come. Environmental, we got you taken care of. You don't have to worry about El Nino. You don't have to worry about any of these things. Don't get on the boat. Just wait with us. We got this. Wrong answer. Now, you got to answer to the true judge. The monarchy, not the anarchy. So for all those people that keep writing Shelley angrily, talking about what empire or nation you are, let me explain what nation you in. The nation you in is called the monarchy. You're under a person by the true name of King Henry. Not King George, the anarchy. No. King Henry, the monarchy. King Henry. And he was the one decided to be truthful, to let the people go, to take care of the people, to love the people, to let's live here equally. That was King Henry. And King George decided to come in and start an anarchy and change all that. And for those of you, again, who don't understand the difference between European and Moor, there is no difference. They're the same people. And just because you're caught up in your mind with this idealistic system that you were given based upon nationalizations and races and stuff. Stay there. When he talked to one that we call Abraham, he told him that his children would be as many as the grains of sand of the sea. I don't know how you got the grains of sand of the sea to be in one little small place called Israel. And this is the fight that the United States has been trying to have everybody fight now for the last past 3 decades, and they can forget it. Nobody's fighting that fight for them. That's their fight. It's their lie, so let them fight the fight. The Israelis have always been right here. The true Israelites. They have always been right here in the land of Canaan. And that is the melanated sisters and brothers that are here. And when I say melanated, I need people to understand. I'm not just talking about the blackness of your skin. I'm talking about those that have that pineal gland, a pituitary gland. Those two that line up side by side. One of them's got this black little coal on the inside of it. And when they line up, they're almost like a balanced scale. They tell you what is truth and what is lie. They balance themselves. And that's what makes you be a melanated person. That's what makes you be one of the Moorish people. That's what makes you a Moorish nation. That's what makes us. Not because we Moabites or because we Israelites or because we Amorites. And we know the Amorites weren't supposed to get a part anyway. But that's not what makes us Moors. It's that pineal gland, a pituitary gland, that they lined up so perfectly that we know that we are the righteous of the world. And don't get me wrong. Some of us that we know that we're not of the right, we might want to go ahead and do our DNA. We might find out that we're Canaanites or Amorites. We may be some of those people in which he wanted to be destroyed out of the land because of their wickedness and their evilness, the Mennonites. You might find yourself being one of them. But at the same time, you would have had to come from one of the 12 tribes. And we understand that the Mennonites, they got caught up with one that was known as Manasseh. They were part of the brothers that split off from Ephraim and Manasseh, the two brothers.
One thing that I just wanted to get some enlightenment on, Doctor. When someone is talking about the Moors, Israelites, Aboriginal, and all of that, is this all the same, but they're just giving different titles? I get a little bit confused because I have some people that are Israelites that are against the Egyptians. They're saying that they were slaves in Egypt, and I'm thinking that we're all the same people. So where are they getting this thing of not liking the other nations because we're the chosen people? And I just want some enlightenment on that, please.
And I will give you a total enlightenment on it. And I need us to understand and understand that most of the time when people are talking, they're talking based upon what they've learned. Their learning ability to bring messages or to bring knowledge. They're going on based upon what they learned. And as I was speaking to some ministers, and I want to carry you here because there is stories within stories. We call them allegories. And when you hear those allegories, you ought to understand and understand you must find the truthness in those stories that's being told. And as I was speaking the other day, I told some ministers just the other day, if you found yourself in solitary confinement, like a lot of our men and women have found themselves, you will realize that the average one of them that comes out, you can just start up a conversation with them, and if they were in this solitary confinement for any period of time, you would realize that pretty much they can follow every subject that you talk on. That doesn't mean they had experience in every subject. It's because they have been around a group of people. And some of those people that were in that group, some of them were retired professionals of auto mechanics. Some of them were retired teachers. Some of them were bankers that were actually let go based upon so-called embezzlement and all of these things. So you got a group of people being around each other who have all of these varied and different experience and different knowledge that one person that was sitting in the middle of them just listening learned something. And he learned something about every last one of those areas, every last one of those categories. But that doesn't make him be a expert of those subjects. And believe it or not, when people talk about the Moors, they talk about the Israelites, they talk about the Amorites, they talking about the Moabites, they talk about the Jewites. I could go on, the Perizzites. I could go on and on. Those people that are talking that, most of them has never studied, neither do they know anything about those people. They have never been there. That's the difference I tell people now between me being Dr. Henderson and someone like a Dr. Jakes. I've been there. I've been to 26 different countries. I studied with those people. I didn't have to read it in the book for somebody to tell me this is what the Israelites do, or this is what the Amorites do, or this is what the Canaanites do. No, I went and I took that experience myself because I wanted to know. I sat with the Buddhist monks. I walked with them in a group of 7 men. I was the 7th man. I didn't mind it. I went barefooted. I shaved my head. I walked and I talked with them because I wanted to know. Rather than somebody giving me some information that he or she read and things, I wanted to experience it. And I would tell you, the average person that you're dealing with out there that's evil saying they're Moor, they have no experience on living as a Moor. Ask them. Ask them, okay, you're a Moor. What have you done to live as a Moor? Because the Moors believe in love, peace, truth, freedom, and justice. Who do you love? How many people have you really truly shown love to? Are you at peace with everybody on this planet? You can't be, because you're just now trying to tell me somebody that you don't like. Truth. You definitely ain't telling me the truth, because a few minutes ago you told me you didn't like these people, but now you're trying to show me where I'm one of them. Freedom. Do you believe that everybody should be free, or you just want to lock up the people you don't like? I believe that all men should be redeemed. I said that. I keep calling out to the Pope. I'm not calling the Pope out or Sean Hannity. I'm not calling them out just to be calling them out. I'm telling them, repent, redeem yourself, or otherwise you will be placed in the fiery pit. This is what we have to do. Let me explain something to you. Israelite is not a color, but Israelite is not a people. Israelite is a way of life. You're either one of us or you're not. You're either with us or you're against us. It doesn't matter if you're in New York or whether you're over in China. If you are an Israelite, it's a way of life and it's the way we live that will show you who we are. I'm an Israelite. That means that what we say, we're willing to do it. We don't really just testify. We know our testament is not any good until after death. But we know if we're doing these things while being alive, then that's what proves that you're an Israelite. A Moor is a person, an indigenous person that believes in all these principles, that lives these principles every day. He does not come to you talking about being a Moabite. He does not come to you talking about being an Amorite. He does not come to you talking about being an Israelite. He just knows how to live right. That's the word, right. It means right. Right and might. He either has the urim and the thummim or he don't. The urim and the thummim means the right and the might. That's where you get the Ite from, the Israelite, the Canaanite, the Benjamite. That's where you get the Ite from. It's from right. And if he's not that, then he's none of that at all. He's just fooling himself. He's wearing a turban. He's wearing a robe. He's wearing some sandals. Great. I'm impressed. Now show me the height in you. The right and the might. Show me the urim and the thummim. That's what I need to see. So I would say to you, don't let them confuse you. When they get to talking against someone else, Shelly will tell you how I even do family members. Shut your mouth and find something else to do. Who is my brother and my sister? Who is my family? But those that sit here before me, here's the words of my Father, and not only are they hearers, but they're doers of the same. Come on, church. That's what you say. But you don't exercise that. You hear somebody's house burns down the street, what do? If you're on your way to church, you pass by that house and go straight to the church. I can't be late for my prayer meeting. I can't be late. I'm in the choir. But that's somebody's house that you know. You're watching it burn down. You would dial 911 and keep going with a bucket of water sitting right there on their steps, and you could have thrown it on there. But you call yourself a Christian. You call yourself a person of God. But the church is so important to get there than helping my neighbor put out this fire. And it says, love thy neighbor as thyself. This is who we got to be on this planet. Everybody on this planet needs to understand that if you're not coming in that sense, if you're not coming with that manner, you can come to us and give us any title that you want to. At the end of the day, we're going to take your blood DNA. And if your blood DNA puts you in the Moabite, guess what? That's what you are. And we're going to make sure that we treat you that way. Because we're going to understand and understand that you care nothing about the true I and nobody. I know. There will be no separation. I need you to understand that. So those people that have been even out there speaking say, well, it sounds like Dr. Henderson separating the people. No, I'm telling you what's happening. The people already been separated. And those that have been separated from the righteous and the unrighteous is going to perish. They're going to be put in the fiery pit. It will only be the righteous people here, so there will be no separation. And that. As I talk to my brothers in the Moorish nation, I keep saying to them, yes, we all are. All of us that are righteous, that's who we are. We don't have to prove ourselves. We don't have to tell anybody who we are anymore. We've already proven who we are. We're the righteous as well. And for those of them that has not yet taken their DNA, I say to them, you may find out that there is no race, there is no tribe by the name of Moabite. But that doesn't make you not a Moor. That's not what makes you a Moor. Your blood covenant. That's what makes you who you are. You already know who you are. Your DNA will speak for itself. Whether you be an Amorite, I don't think you will be. But if you be an Israelite, or Hamite, or Hittite, you will be fine. You will still be of the melanated world. You will still be of that world that's known as the Moor. This is who you are. Nobody can take that. And for those of you that keep thinking that you're the Europeans, I keep saying to you, in the Moorish nation, they do use European for you. But I have to say again that the European nation once was an all melanated nation. For the Caucasian brothers, I say to you that you fit in one of those 12 tribes. That is why we've been asking you to give your DNA, because you fit inside one of these tribes. You're out of one of those tribes. We understand about the two tribes, the one tribe that split. The two brothers, Ephraim, Reuben, we know who they are. And we also know that that tribe has now come back together.